There are four functions of money. Okay, the heading is the four functions of money. What this means is that whatever you're using for money, what will it do? Okay, whether it's the cowrie shells or it's the paper money, what functions is it supposed to fulfill? Number one, we say it acts as a medium of exchange. You have to write this word to word. So medium of exchange, when you define it, we say that money is generally accepted as a mean for most goods. Secondly, it acts as a unit of account. Sometimes they might, at some places, you might even say measure of value. That's absolutely fine as well. ठीक है? So what this means is that the price of an item can be measured in terms of how many units of currency it is worth. Now, what we mean by this is like maybe a low quality shirt is rupees 300 and high quality shirt is rupees 5,000. So this way you can actually measure it कि उसकी क्या worth है in terms of a monetary value. Like in barter, it would have been a lot more complicated as to okay, so you have one quality, a low quality shirt. How much is it worth to somebody who is selling, let's say, biscuits? So now it's going to be hard to measure okay how many biscuits, and then if somebody is selling books, then you have to measure shirt versus the books. It just becomes too complicated and impossible, and then double coincidence also gives you the trouble, right? So number three, the third function of money is that it acts as a store of value. What this means is that you can save money because it keeps its value and this savings enable us to use money in the future, right? But what we mean by this is that whatever you're using as money, you should be able to store it, keep it, and then when you take it out for future purpose, it should not lose its value. So for example, uh, in today's day and age, we can keep our 1,000 rupees, ignoring inflation. Obviously, the 1,000 rupees, if you use it after a year, we assume that if you ignore inflation, this 1,000 rupees will remain 1,000 rupee and it can buy you goods and services. Whereas if you were using something perishable like eggs, maybe in a barter economy, that let's store it, but the problem is that eggs go bad after a few days. And then if you take it out and then you want to use it, it's worth nothing. So naturally, it's not a good store of value. So, store of value means that something which should retain its value. It should not rise or fall. Like, for example, if we talk about paintings, the thing with paintings is that if it's like a famous artist painting, with time its value will keep on going up, right? But if there is a minor damage or something, it can really lose its value also at the same time. Store of value means that it should be able to retain its value. Do not gain too much, do not lose too much. And the fourth function of money that we have is that it should act as a standard of deferred payments. What this means is deferred means to postpone something, to put it for the future. So, what we mean is that borrowers who wants to take the money right now and repay in the future, they are able to borrow money and pay it back at a future date. There should not be uncertainty to them as to how much do they have to pay back, when do they have to pay back. ठीक है? So we should be able to figure that out when the person wants to borrow, that okay, fine, you want to get 1,000 rupees, you have to repay after 1 year 10% on it. So that means 1,100 you have to return now at future date. Now, whether the money loses its value or it gains its value doesn't matter. The person has this certainty that he has to pay 1,100 back. Whether it buys you more goods or less goods doesn't matter. Commitment is for 1,100 rupees. Now, out of these four functions, the first two functions are important for transaction motives. Like if I want to buy and sell something, the first two helps me with doing easy transactions, transactionary motive. For example, मीडियम ऑफ एक्सचेंज क्या है, कोई भी चीज़ खरीदने के लिए वे यूजिंग दिस, एंड यूनिट ऑफ अकाउंट क्या है, 1 pillow is equals to x number of rupees, 1 kilo 1 jeans is equals to x number of rupees. इससे क्या होता है, ट्रांजैक्शंस तेज हो जाती हैं एंड इट हेल्प्स मी विद दैट. द अदर टू is for savings motive. Okay, I can keep it and use it for a future date. I can lend it and I can get the money in the future back and I can use it. Do you understand? तो पहले दो ट्रांजैक्शंस में हेल्प करते हैं, दूसरे दो सेविंग्स के अंदर हेल्प करते हैं. Now, for example, for Bitcoin, maybe you might have heard about Bitcoin. Its values are really going up again. So basically, if I own a Bitcoin right now, if I go to Pizza Hut, can I buy myself pizza with it? Or if I want to buy jeans or a cup of coffee, can I go and buy a cup of coffee with that at the Dunkin' Donuts? The thing is, if I tell them, they're going to say, we don't accept it. So that means Bitcoin right now, in terms of medium of exchange and unit of account, it's not working. That means it's not helping me with any kind of transactions. However, if I keep it safe, with the passage of time, it is creating value. So as a store of value, it's really working well. Okay, so from the savings motive it's working, but from the transactionary point of view it's not working really. In Japan, where it is acceptable, तो वहाँ पे थोड़ा बहुत transactionary it is working. in places. They have, I believe they have ATMs and stuff where you can actually take out money and use it. And again, people are using it for savings purpose also. But since because उसकी value इतनी ज़्यादा ऊपर जाती है randomly, तो people feel कि transactions करना उसके साथ मुनासिब नहीं है, so they're using it for the saving purpose. Like for example, there was a time when people in the beginning, when Bitcoin was invented, people uh, gave thousands of Bitcoin just to get themselves one pizza. Now just imagine what those people must be thinking, that thousands of Bitcoin ke badle mein they bought one pizza. Right now, one Bitcoin is worth, uh, I think it's close to what, 16, 20 lakh rupees or something, last I saw. So it's really, uh, changing in terms of that. So money, these are the four functions that you should be able to define and recognize.